and he said, look, I wasn't even a huge Luann fan. And this show was like great. And then of course it had hundreds and hundreds of comments and it had gone viral. I mean, they have a following, a very big one. Now I'm like, you and I should hit them up and be like, we'll produce it.
We will produce it. Listen, I love Luann. Her live show is phenomenal. I mean, I've heard from her. She's down the street from me in Sag Harbor. We've texted the other day. I mean, I'm supposed to go over there for lunch in Fosé. We'll see if that happens, but that's the invitation that was put out. I could see it happening. The one network, if you want to gun to the head, I see this on E. I see this on E. E has lost everything. There's no more E network. It's within the NBC family. They like when you're kind of already a celebrity, like they did like the Bradshaw bunch. I could see this on E. When you factor in trying to hook up with like 30-year-olds, I throw in some 20-year-olds. Yeah, they're very comical, Luann and Sonja. It's just, you have to remember the demographic that does the entertainment business love women in their 50s, other than Housewives. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they do now.
I do. You do? You do. You think it's changing?
Look at The View.
I hope so.
I mean, look at The View. Look at like every talk show host. You've got Sherry Shepherd now. I mean, she's got to be close to 50. Ellen, greatest talk show host. The only person that's younger than 50 rivaling in the talk show space is Kelly Clarkson. I mean, Selling Sunset, I guess, is younger, but I mean, all the other reality shows, everybody's in there. I mean, we often forget.
Well, Bling Empire's younger, but it's older too. It has Anna Shea and Christine Chiu.
We forget MJ. MJ's almost 50 from Shaw's. Now I know Shaw's has been canceled, but I mean, I think it's this thing that and I'm with Garcelle. Like Garcelle has said this. Garcelle's like, I never bought into that 40, your career is over. I think 40 in the 90s, your career was over. I think 40 is just the number you reinvent in Hollywood. But I think Hollywood says outwardly they don't like 50-year-old women. But the truth is like, those are the women that are watching, I mean, we've seen this time and time again from E Network, from Bravo. They try to put on every fucking TikToker that has, I mean, is that D'Amelio? Is the D'Amelio reality show coming back?
That I don't know.
The hottest part about that show to me are the parents. The parents are hot. And
listen, I love my housewives in the 50s and 60s. So I'm all for it. Listen.
As a woman that's heading closer to 50 than 20, I'm like,
no, I mean, listen, I am a woman that's heading closer to 50 than 20 myself. But the thing is, look, I would love to see this show. The bottom line is there is no show at the moment. I do think this was put out to Page Six and you asked, what's the motivation? The motivation is to garner that, fake it till you make it. There's talk, there's buzz. Oh my God, Luann.
No, you're right.
And eventually subconsciously execs hear this and think, okay. But I really do think this was in lieu of spending the money on a sizzle reel. And I would love this show. I really would. I just, for everybody out there, when you read it, I'm just cautioning you right now, there's no show, but you know what? Let's get a show. I mean, you and I are talking about it, so that's not a bad thing. Speaking of which, before we get to MJ,
well, I was going to say we have to wrap up. I as you know, I have my 14-month-old, but we want to do one more. Let's do one more.
Well, then let's hold off on some Shaw's talk, but let's just also say, because we talked about Tamra not going back because of the podcast. Teddy apparently didn't realize that she started a fight with our girls, Gizelle and Robin.
Our girls. Yes.
And David Yontef. Like, I'll go throw down with Teddy. She's claiming she has the number one. Now, I would like to take myself out of this. I think what she meant is, as far as Housewives go, she has the number one Housewives spot. It's very poorly worded because we have lots of others, including Behind the Velvet Rope, that are just as big as the two T's. So I think what she meant is from people who have been housewives. She says her podcast is the number one podcast. Now, why are you saying this out of nowhere? You don't think that's going to anger a bunch of other housewives that have or have had podcasts? Heather Dubrow, Gizelle and Robin, Melissa Gorga. We can keep going.
Melissa Gorga. Well, I think, yep, you're right. Obviously, really poorly worded. Now she's trying to basically, I think, make it seem like they're in demand, and there's, just kind of exactly what we talked about with Sonja and Luann. But Robin and Gizelle were like, you're a past housewife. So for current housewives, our show is one of the top rated, if not the highest rated. And Giselle's and Robin's does very, very well. I mean, a lot of the housewives have them. Candace has one. Candace has one. Obviously, Melissa Gorga, she's got a big one.
Also, this is like when, and by the time everyone hears this, I will have already had Miss Sheree Whitfield on my show. And when I asked Sheree on air, like, is Drew in over her head coming for you? And Sheree, I loved my interview with Sheree because she like shaded me through the whole thing. She's like, now, do I really have to answer that question, David? She's like, is that really a question? This is what Sheree said to me. It's on air. She's like, are you really asking me if Drew is in over her head and coming for me? It's kind of like, Teddy, you now have angered the beast that is producer Gizelle Bryant. So, right, in one sentence, Gizelle is like, well, I think you're actually ex-housewives, we're current housewives, which was brilliant. And to Giselle's point, she has a point. We cannot talk about things. We can't slam Andy. We can't slam, Ashley Darby. We can't slam Lisa Rinna. Like, we're on the network. And it is easier when you are an ex-housewife to do this stuff. So Giselle's like, not so fast. And even Robin spoke up and she's like, I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. I'm going to have to pull some numbers. So really poor choice of words. I mean, Melissa should come and slam Teddy and then, throw in Heather Dubrow. But Teddy, you have angered Gizelle Bryant, and like, I'm sorry, Teddy, you are. And she also pointed out, like Gizelle said, okay, I will give respect to 13 season Tamra. I will give her respect. But Teddy, you were there for what? Like one season? That's what Gizelle said. She's like, are you kidding me? So Gizelle ain't having it with Teddy. She's not even going there. And it's like, it's true. You're no match, Teddy, for Gizelle Bryant. She will eat you for breakfast, sweetheart.
Oh my God. I love it. David, I love it. I love the ongoing feud you have with Teddy Mellencamp. I think it's so juicy.
Listen, I wish her, someone the other day left me a review of like, oh, you're so sensitive. Get over it. I'm like, guys, lighten up. Just lighten up. Like, I'm not that sensitive. But, Teddy is just, I'm amazed at the words that she's using. That next time we'll talk more about the Shaws, and they've got some.
We have a lot of other stuff. Yeah, a lot of other jobs. Okay, David, people can follow me at the Sarah Fraser Show on TikTok, on Instagram. I do TLC recaps, so people are knowing me for. I love TLC shows like Seeking Sister Wife, 1,000-Pound Sisters, 90 Day Fiance. Every Wednesday, I do a recap of your favorite TLC shows. Just search Sarah Fraser Podcast everywhere podcasts are played.
And you can find me at Behind Velvet Rope or Behind the Velvet Rope on Apple, Spotify, anywhere else podcasts are found. And I do some other things, but nobody wants anything from me